Hey, everybody. Welcome to We Talk Photo, our podcast of many things photography. I am one of your hosts, John Pedersen. With me, as always, is Mr. Jack Graham.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's
Good afternoon, middle of the week, and we're
late
catching our
afternoon
breath
here.
in between workshops and all that kind of good stuff, and thought we'd pound out a quick podcast to y'all and let you know what's going on with us and in the world of photography.
John, you're a lot busier than I am this time of
Oh,
year. I'm in my lull before the lull.
I that's funny. Yeah, I'm running gangbusters right now, and it's hard to find time to breathe and to actually produce articles and videos and podcasts and
So
uh,
I'm not, I cut my schedule back quite a bit.
yeah.
And so I'm sitting here during the summer. I have a fair amount of one-on-ones here with the crowd coming into the Smokies, but I'm not doing a whole lot of traveling till the fall, but I don't know where the time goes. Every day there's something going on around here, whether we're having gazebos built on the deck or some crazy thing. And the days go so fast. It's incredible. So
And which is a great point is that we all need to, I think I've been trying to practice living in the moment, living in the day, because these days go by so fast as we get older, and man, before you know it, your
you're
time here is
110
done.
years old,
Yeah, I know. Well,
but
let's get off of mortality and talk about things that are a little bit
yeah,
more.
let's get off mortality, talk about photo workshops.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
No, let's hit on a
Where
couple
have you
things,
been?
huh?
I know where you've been, but tell everybody where you've been.
Well, just in the last month and a half, it's been the Olympic National Park. Then it was a 5-day workshop along the Oregon coast. We were in Yachats, Newport, Central Oregon coast, and then down
You
in
better,
Bandon.
explain to the people who don't know about Yachats. So the first time I drove through Yachats with Linda, this is 40 years ago, 30 years, 30, a little bit 32 years ago. I drive in this town and I bought a shirt that said YACHATS.
ATS.
Did I
Yep.
spell it right? And I tried to pronounce it. She just laughed because she's from Seattle. I said, it's pronounced Yachats. I said, where's the Yah? Anyhow, it's a great place. Um, and it's kind of halfway, right? In the middle of
Kind
the
of halfway
coast.
up and down the state, and to me, it's sort of the ground zero if you want to shoot the Central Oregon coast for such things like Thor's Well, which is really popular there. And
Yep.
but it's just a beautiful rocky coastline with a few
Yep.
sandy beaches and
Great waves.
great waves. Yeah, it's a fantastic place. So we did that, and then went down to Bandon, and Bandon's always highly highly entertaining and highly productive.
Bandon Beach is my favorite beach in the entire country.
Yep, I can see that. I can
It's
see that.
amazing.
It's something special.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter the weather. I always come off Abandoned Beach with photographs that I'm happy with.
I'm going to have to, we're going to have to put together, I need to get back out there to do it.
Yeah,
I miss the coast,
yep.
and
I have to go to the
maybe
coast
in,
at least once a
maybe
month.
in, maybe in 2026.
There we go. There we
Well,
go.
25's put to bed already.
I
I'll get,
know. I know. Yeah, but
for those of you who
we
are
did the
waiting, I'll
coast,
be
and I was
getting,
up in the Palouse for a week, running a springtime workshop, and we headed back up there in August with Nampa to do a harvest workshop, which is, tell you, Jack, harvest is my favorite time of year for as an artist to photograph up there because of the complexities of the harvest lines, the plow lines that happen in the hills, along with the shape of the hills. There's so much creative possibilities, and it's so much creative challenge to make a composition in these areas. And harvest is without a doubt my favorite time to be up there.
the spring is textures and patterns, and harvest is textures and patterns on steroids.
Yes, yeah,
And
just
and
an insane amount.
it's kind of like going into the harbors on the Oregon coast where you are learning to see. You really learn to hone your seeing skills because you have to.
Yeah.
And it's magic. Yeah, it's great.
It is, yeah, and I took my group up to the Newport Harbor again, and always one of my favorite times of the Oregon coast is shooting in the fishing harbors and teaching people how to see pattern shapes, textures, and colors.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we look at subjects, not qualities of our surroundings, and so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good
No,
stuff. What have you been up to lately?
nothing.
Building
Well,
a
actually, a
gazebo.
lot. I'm trying to get next year put to bed. It's all put to bed. I've got to get. I've got to get John. John. I'm in the middle of working on a new website, and I'm firing John. I'll be handling my own. It's that. It's one
It's
you can
not for
handle.
performance reasons.
Yeah. No. No. Not at all. In fact, I may bring him back on. Who knows? But I'm told that this new format that I'm using is really good. I know people who use this format, and I'll be able to do it myself. We'll see.
Yeah,
Um, Anyhow, so that's I have my schedule up here, folks, for 2025 here. I'd say within a week. A couple new locations and stuff. I do have the Palouse down, John, for next year.
yeah.
I missed it this year. I didn't come out this year with you. But I missed that, so I'm going to make sure we get out there, and I'll be with John in the Sierra in October,
This year, October of this year,
and then
Monument Valley next
and then
year.
Monument Valley we've got up for 2025.
Yep,
And
April.
what we did, and I have to tell you, I don't think there's another, and I'm going to blow our own horn here a little bit. I don't, I look around to see what competition's doing, and very few people do what we do. And we do a competition, combination of Monument Valley and Canyon de Chelly. And we did it together the last few years in that format, but we found that we can't properly give our attendees the time, especially in Canyon de Chelly and somewhat in Monument Valley. So we added an extra day in each place. So we're going to have 2 full days, guided
Extra
days
days.
in uh, in Canyon de Chelly,
Yep.
which will be great. So it's what is it? It's a 5-6 dayer now, right?
6 dayer
So
now. Yep. We
yeah,
got
and
4 days in
but
Monument Valley and
but
2 in
I have
Canyon
to
de
tell you,
Chelly.
nobody's doing the itinerary that we're doing. Nobody, we, our guides that we use, we've known them for years and years and years and years, and we get into some places that frankly nobody else gets into. So yeah, I'm blowing our little
Yeah.
thing, our horn here, but folks, if you're thinking about the quintessential trip to Navajo country, check it out on either my website or John's website, and we're only taking a certain amount of people, so um,
Space is limited.
space is limited.
Yeah. Well,
And
same
then
is
of
true.
course the Bears.
We're
We
going
got the
back to the
Bears.
Bears.
The Bears.
Yep, Bears. And we've got a lot of people signed up for that so far. And we're doing that in September
I
of
think there's only
25.
one, maybe 2 spots left on that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's a really popular trip because, we work with an outfitter that gets us right on top of the Bears every day. And
well,
the,
not on top of the
we
Bears.
get close to the Bears.
We get close to the
Um,
Bears.
but it's an experience like you can't imagine. You guys, if you've listened to our podcast at all, we've gone on about it. But each year I go, I'm so grateful for the opportunity because it's such a magical experience being with these animals.
I have to tell you, John, in all honesty, and folks, don't cut this. Don't stop listening while I'm talking here for a minute because you'll say he's lost it. I don't care about any more photography on that workshop. I've got more bear photographs than I can ever use, but I love to go just to watch the bears.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like a sightseer, and of course we're there to help you guys. But just to see this stuff, man, you won't even. You'll go home and try to describe this to your friends. You can't even do it. And
Yeah.
and that goes. I don't care who you do with it. Do with us. Anybody else is not as good as us, but anybody else, or even if you go on your own, you'll not be able to describe the experience to anybody if you get in on the animals like we do. So
Mhm.
I think we have one or two spots. If you're thinking of maybe going, you check that out soon because
Yeah.
they're going to be gone. Anyhow, so
Yeah.
that's enough self promotion here for a little while. We're doing this little podcast today, and we've been probably a little longer winded, and we should have been here. Sorry, everybody, but we're just doing this little podcast today. We've got a podcast that we're going to record on Thursday. This is Tuesday, so in 2 days, with a very special guest that we've had on before. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but he's been one of our favorite people. And we have a topic that we came up with that we're just super excited to talk about. And it's not the rule of thirds. It's 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 a great topic and a great person to discuss this with. So we're going to record this Thursday. So everybody come back and check this out. I think we'll leave this up for a couple of days. I don't think this will be a 2 weeker, John. I think we'll,
Well, it's just,
you know,
it
few
just, it
days.
stays up forever until we
Yeah.
delete it. But,
But when
um,
our next podcast is going to be a fun one.
yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. I did want to touch a little bit on news, because there's a couple of interesting things and a funny thing. Uh, One of the first things Jack and you and I were talking today about, DJI again, the ban on drones from DJI might be happening. It's getting closer and closer.
Looks like the House of Representatives. They should rename that. I mean, it's the House of something. It's the House of Certifiable Lunatics. They certainly don't represent me all the time. And anyhow, that's another subject for another day. But the House of Representatives, I think they're getting ready to pass this bill that's going to outlaw DJI for security purposes. They somehow think, and maybe they're right. I don't know enough about it to judge it, but they seem to think that the Chinese, since the company that owns DJI has been linked very closely to the Chinese government. But then in China, the mom and pop grocery stores, it's linked to the government over there. I mean, everything is. So they have this thing that there's a big security thing going on that your video that's coming out of your drone is being viewed in China as it goes through and John, if it is, I don't care. I mean, I could watch what I'm doing. In fact,
Oh yeah,
when
I
they
think it's
say they
more
don't want to
about
come out,
national secrets and flying close to military bases and getting intelligence and
well, you
you
can't
know
fly next to a military base in any drone.
we got satellites, so I don't know, whatever. But if you've been thinking about buying a DJI drone, you might want to think about it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
It's not gonna impact those of us that already own the drones, just sales of new drones, from what I understand. So I think we should be okay for those of us that have them.
And updates might be a little bit. They,
Yeah, that
I
might
think
be a
they're
little
done with
sketchy,
updates.
but
That's good and bad, by the way.
yeah, I mean, I don't fly my drone enough to really be a hardcore, consider myself a hardcore user. So, I'm just a
Yeah.
casual hobbyist in that
Yeah, but like
regard.
John says, if you're thinking about buying one, I'd be buying one right now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Jack, the other funny bit of news, we've seen photo contests where the winner was announced, and then it later came out that it was an AI generated image that won, and so that caused all the uproar. Well, some photographer just recently flipped the tables on this one, and they submitted a real image into an AI image category contest. And they ended up winning the People's Choice Award and some other award within that. And then once it was announced that they won, the photographer came out and actually said that it was a verified real image taken by a real human.
It's a nice
And
shot.
it's a great shot. It's of a flamingo, and
Mhm.
they did it to send a message, and which I think was a great message. And I thought I got a good chuckle out of that one.
Yeah, maybe you could link that article
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
show
I'll
notes
put that
here.
in the show notes and do
Everybody,
all that
just
stuff.
give it a read. It's you'll see the picture in there, and you'll read it. But it's quite ironic that that this gentleman got such high praise and pats on the back for a great AI image. It turned out it was real.
I
Good for
know. I
him.
think we all need to revolt against the computers and do what we can to help keep humans involved in the creative process. I'm
Yeah, you know,
still
it's okay. It's going to happen, John. It's
it
gonna
will.
it's we talked about this, I think, in other podcasts. It's gonna it you can't fight it.
No, I mean we talked about
It's
it with
already
Rick
here.
Salmon. You know, Rick Salmon's a big proponent of it, but
I would rather be doing what we're doing. I wouldn't want to be like a food photographer now.
oh,
I mean, those guys, the stock people, if stock photography is pretty much done anyhow. This it's completely over now.
yeah,
Forget
it's
it.
been done for years.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and you know, when you could sit and say, okay, put a polar bear sitting on the pyramid, and it's done. You know, it's just. But I think what it's going to do, it's going to make images that are real, that are taken by what most of our attendees and we do. I think it's going to make them more valid, and maybe not tomorrow, but in the coming years, if it's
Oh,
a
I think
real.
I agree with you, Jack. I think for me though, it's just the erosion of our ability to believe what we see as
Yeah,
a society, you know, what's real, what's not. You know, other than with a certificate of authenticity from the EXIF data of my camera, there's no way I can prove that my image is real. So why should somebody believe that my image is real?
well, forget about photography. Kids in grade school are going to be, they're not learning how to write anymore. Now they'll just AI their homework and AI their tests,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
we'll continue to have generations of morons walking around, and
Oh, the funny, I read
you
there
know,
was some state that they just passed a law concerning AI and sort of the regulation of it and all that stuff. And they actually used AI to help craft the language for the
of
anti-AI
course,
bill.
of
Just
course,
hilarious,
of
hilarious.
course, of course,
Yeah.
and last but not least, my favorite article that I read today is Adobe got sued by the Department of Justice
Yes.
for, in other words, you want it to cancel, they make it really tough to cancel subscription. I don't know that they were sharing information. I didn't really read it that quick. I just read it quick before we came on here with this podcast. But um, I guess if they got sued by the department, if it's a federal lawsuit, uh, the federal government pretty much has things lined up before
Before they
anything
file something. Yep.
goes. And of course, this won't go to trial. They'll settle it and what have you. But it's just nice to see Adobe get sued. Now watch, I go to get into Lightroom tomorrow, they'll block me. I'm
They're
sure the Adobe
listening.
people listen to our podcast,
No, they're listening through AI, through the
yeah,
AI that's built into
yeah, and the
Photoshop.
Chinese are listening to the
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I have my drone in the closet. It's probably going through the box into
Well,
China,
your iPhone sure is
and
listening
my
to you.
iPhone, of
Yeah,
course.
of course.
Anyhow, so
Of
that's
course.
you have anything else
Well,
that
I
you
do. I just kind of wanted to tell a quick little anecdote about just a reminder, kind of, you know, what we do is all about light, you know, right? It's the direction of light, the quality of light. And when I drove up to the Palouse on a Monday, and it's about a 5, 6 hour drive for me, and my goal was to scout Monday and Tuesday before the workshop started. And typically, when I go up to the Palouse, I'll get to the hotel, and after the drive, I'm a little tired, but I'll unpack and set up my office and get all settled, and then maybe go out in the evening and do some scouting. But I tell you, Jack, as I was driving into town, you know, normally when we go to the Palouse, it's just bald skies, just clear as a bell, most of the time.
one out of every 3 or 4 years is really, really good. I'd
Yeah,
say the other two are good. And then once in a while you do get that
you get this special. And I was driving into town and it was cloudy overhead with little breaks in the clouds, some raindrops coming, and it was conditions that I don't normally see in the Palouse very regularly. And what did I do? I checked into the hotel, I unloaded my truck, just threw everything in a giant pile in the middle of my room, grabbed my camera and tripod and headed out. Why? Because it was the light. When we go to the Palouse, it's all about light against the light on the rolling hills, the rolling wheat hills, and it's the shadows, and that's a large part of why we go to this particular location. Is it's about the light, not about the subject. I'm not a wheat field photographer, but I capture light and shadows just as you do. And boy, I tell you, I went out. I was scouting, but I was really looking for images for myself because that's one of the times that I can actually shoot for myself. And I parked at this one little pullout and watched these shadows just flow across the landscape as the wind blew the clouds overhead. And different parts of the landscape would go into shadow, then they'd go into light. And it was just this movement that was happening that was transforming the landscape. I probably stood there for 20 minutes just watching it. And it was kind of like watching the ocean when you watch different sets of waves come in. This was watching different sets of clouds come through and the different ways that it lit up the landscape. And man, I tell you, eventually I got out the camera and I shot a photograph. And for those that are on YouTube, you can see it behind me. But it's of a wheat field with clouds overhead, and there's some sunbeams coming down. But the foreground is shadow. The midground wheat fields are lit up, and the background hills are in shadow. And it's this wonderful striation of light that
Come on, you
happens in
did
this
that in
photograph.
Luminor.
I did it in Luminar, of course. And I tell you, I got back to the room that night and I looked at this photograph and I said, you know what? I've never taken a shot like that. In all the years I've been to the Blues, I don't have a shot like this.
I bet you knew that when you took it.
Oh, I did. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
giddy
Once in
as
a
a
while it happens.
schoolgirl. Yeah.
So
And I had this really funny feeling. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I can go home. I've been here for 3 hours. I can go home.
I'm going to expand on that. Now, I wasn't with John, but I will tell you a couple things. Um, I've been in similar circumstances probably, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen times in the last 5 or 6 years. And about all but maybe one were in the Palouse. In fact, we had a night, you remember, John, a few years ago, and a few of our attendees had a couple extra margaritas and didn't want to go out, and we had that light that night.
Oh,
Well, when John got, and I'm not trying to speak, John, you tell me if I'm wrong. When John got 3/4 of the way to Colfax, Washington, from being there, he knew from the skies what the potential was. And one of the reasons that you want to go with John or John and I or me to the Palouse, and there are other people who know the Palouse well, not just us. If you want to go there, you better go with someone who knows where to go. John knew where to go. Now, maybe he didn't get in the car and say, I'm going here, but he knew the general area where to go, where the land is conducive to that light. And, you don't go, you don't know. And he knew what the potential was, and it worked out.
yep.
But you got to know the potential. You got to know what could happen. And
also don't it would have been easy. It would have been easy for me to stay in my hotel and just get unpacked and rest after the drive. And that was the furthest thing from my mind because I had a very unique opportunity with a very short window of time.
The adrenaline was working.
Oh, it was too. You bet. Because I knew something special was going to happen, and my gosh, it did. I'm still ecstatic over this series of photographs I got because it was just about the light. It's not about the clouds or the wheat fields. It's about the light, and
that's why I'm saying there's very few lucky photographs. People look at that photograph and they go, "Oh, you were lucky to get that light." Baloney. You knew what the potential was. You got your ass out of the hotel room. You
Yep.
got in the car. You knew where to go. You knew what equipment to use. You knew how to make the photograph. It's not an easy exposure, by the way.
Mm-mm.
And and it happened. So good for you.
Yeah, thank you. So it's it's another lesson for me and for maybe for everybody listening that it's it's all about the light, and I don't care what the subject is. If I have good light, I'll be out photographing in it, um, and we'll make something happen. But
Well,
yeah,
to that point, Courtney and I are thinking about doing a very, very interesting workshop together. And
oh,
it'll be very important on the environment and what's happening in the area. And we're going to call it Secret Hot Tubs of the Southwest. It won't matter about the light. No, John, that's a great shot.
yeah.
And you made it
Thank you.
happen. So,
Thank you. I was quite
um,
happy with that. So I'm
just
still,
folks, if you get in good locations, man, get out there and get it. And if you're going to the damn Palouse or you're going to anywhere really where the light's crazy and Death Valley, Michael Gordon is
yeah.
amazing. Go to Death Valley with Michael. You come to Monument Valley with us. The light is just crazy, and you
And
got to know where to go. You got to know
you
when to be
do,
there.
and it kind
I
of
had
got
a
me thinking
client.
though, Jack, that some locations are more about the light and some locations are more about the subject. You
One of
know,
our clients called me last week, and I won't say who it is, but he's from Northridge, California, and he is going to up to the Palouse in about a week. In fact, he's got something going on in Lewiston, Idaho. I think he's going up to see a friend, and he's going to go in a Palouse. He goes, "So where should I go in the Palouse?" And I said, "Jesus." Oh, sorry. Now you know who it is. I said, "You can't. I can't. I'd love to tell you where to go, but my GPS says fence 8 o'clock, pull out 6:30 in good light." That's what it is. Because after years and years and years, we know where to go.
yeah, yep, yep, yep,
So
yep.
anyhow, it's all
So
good.
thanks for listening to my story, folks. It was one that I'm
Yeah.
still excited about, and that's one of my portfolio images for the year. It's one of two that I've
Well,
gotten so far, I think, this year.
it's two more than me.
Yeah, so I've been lucky. So Jack, with that,
Yeah.
I think we're in a wrap here.
Yeah, everybody. Just thanks for being with us. For those of you who are still here, and then check this next podcast that's coming here in a couple of days. I think, John, is there an RSS here that they can deal with if they want to be notified or anything?
There is
Is it
RSS
just
on our page, yeah. So if you go to
yeah,
wetalkphoto.com, you can sign up for that.
yeah, and you'll know. But this next podcast, I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to record it Thursday, and we'll get it up a day or two shortly after, I guess.
Yep, yep. All
Anyhow,
good.
get out there, folks. Get out and take some photographs. I know it's good for you.
Indeed, indeed. All right, Jack. Well, thanks. It's been a pleasure, folks. Thanks for listening. Questions, comments, always wetalkphoto@gmail.com. Otherwise, stay tuned and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye bye.